everyone. Hello, Simone.
Hello.
So my name is Yulia Petrachuk. I'm the Artistic Director of the Lyrica Classic Entertainment. Thank you for watching us. And today our guest is soprano Simone Brown, who will perform with Lyrica Classic this Sunday at noon, contemporary sacred music with organ composed by Israeli-American composer Eli Tamar. The concert will be broadcast from an amazing 100 years old chapel of Our Lady of the Angels, located in Catonsville in Maryland. And to attend the event, please register on its website. The link is in the description under the video. So, Simone is a Maryland native and is a graduate from Xavier University.
Yeah, Xavier University
of Louisiana and Peabody Conservatory. Simone performed at the Kennedy Center with Opera Nova, in Keegan Theater, and with Adventure Theater, MTC. Simone has performed at Toby's Dinner Theater as an ensemble member and in the Kensington Arts Theater production of Sweeney Todd as Joanna. Hello, Simone again. And
hello.
Please tell us more about yourself and the productions you were working in with these companies, and maybe what is your favorite production?
Yeah, so I finished my master's in classical music at Peabody Conservatory, and I studied in undergrad classically as well. But I grew up doing musical theater. So in the last couple of years, a lot of the things on my resume now are a combination of classical performances and musical theater performances. So the last Toby's Dinner Theater, Adventure Theater, MTC, Keegan Theater, those were all musical theater engagements that I got to do, from kid shows to The Bodyguard to cabaret music. And then mixed in with that over the last couple of years have been, I got to perform with Chicago Summer Opera, perform the full role of Pamina, which was amazing. It was the first time I got to learn a large full role.
Yeah, it's a difficult one.
Yeah, it's a lot. I got to perform with Yulia before with Maryland Opera as well. And getting to do lots of small concerts like these, where I get to learn a little bit of something new. So this was an amazing experience to be a part of.
You're very versatile. What do you like more, like opera or musicals?
I just like them differently.
Does it require a little bit different technique when you perform musicals?
A little bit, but what I've also gotten to take some more lessons with a focus on musical theater style singing, and my voice type also makes it a little bit easier for me to switch these styles. Like I said, I also grew up singing musical theater. I grew up singing gospel music, so before I sang classically, so I kind of was already used to singing in that way, and then learned classical, and then was able to bring some of that classical technique to my more contemporary style singing. So the way I kind of think of it is like different style hats. So everything in my body stays the same, no matter what I'm singing. My posture is the same, my breath is the same, the way that I engage with my support is the same. I think about the diction the same, vowels the same, like consonants the same. The only thing that really is different is for contemporary music, you don't have a soft palate lift. So for musical theater, for gospel, for anything kind of like pop contemporary, you're not going to, that's like it was weird kind of getting back into that, because that kind of gets drilled into you as a classical singer. It's like, you have to raise your soft palate. But for musical theater, it's the opposite. So that's the only change that I make as I'm singing classical music versus musical theater music.
So you more like engage the front resonators instead of the space.
Yes. So I guess I always think, even as I'm singing classical music, about resonating kind of forward, but there is that backspace. So all I'm taking away is the backspace. So I try not to do a lot different, so that it makes it very easy to switch back and forth as I need to. The musical theater process for auditioning is also a little bit different, and I would say that is something that I like a little bit better.
Oh, really? Tell us a bit more about that, because I saw when I went for to audition for like many companies in New York, and I was always pity for music theater singers, because I saw like huge line. People waiting to sing, maybe, I don't know, 30 seconds only.
Well, so I don't audition in New York. I do DC auditions. I'm in the DC kind of theater scene. But yeah, so you are going to wait in line. You are going to have to kind of sit around all day. But the difference for a lot of like classical opera companies, young artist companies in particular, you have to send in an audition, like a pre-screening video. You may have to pay an application fee, and then you may or may not get an audition. And as you know, we talked about earlier, whenever you're recording anything, like something always goes wrong. It like may not be your best video that you've ever made, but you have to send in something, so you do. But with a musical theater company, like, yeah, you may have to wait in line, but you get seen. So you don't have to pay any money. You don't have to do any pre-screening things. You don't have to, you just have to show up. And I've participated in, some classes, I guess, where they talk about what they're looking for in those auditions. And in our auditions, we usually get to sing a full aria, maybe two. In those, it is that you get maybe 2 minutes. But really, when you're listening to a new singer, how long does it take for you to say, I like you or I don't like you?
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
It only takes maybe 2 minutes. So
maybe less.
You get to see a lot more people, and really you're just breaking it down. It's like, I would know if I liked it or not pretty fast. I don't actually need 10 minutes with a person. That's true. So that's the biggest difference to me, is how you audition for those things.
Yeah. So you started obviously very early, your involvement in the music.
Yeah.
Do you think is it important to be a good artist, performer, to start your education from early age, or not necessary?
I think in classical music, it gives you an advantage, because you may already have a resume of sorts going into school. So if you are going to apply for undergraduate school and study theater and study classical voice, you already have some things on your resume. You've been taking lessons. You have some understanding of what's going on. Sometimes I think with voice lessons, at least, I also teach voice, that sometimes maybe like it starts a little younger than it needs to, because voice isn't like other instruments, it's your body. So you do kind of have to wait a little bit before doing any intense study. I feel like the best place to start is school choir or local choirs or church choirs, places where you get to sing, you get to train your ear. But then waiting to do a more intense study where you are talking about techniques, you're talking about posture, breath, all those things, as it relates to your body specifically, a little bit later, once you're not, so young and you don't have anything close to an adult body, because it changes quite a bit. I think your voice, they say, like, doesn't mature fully until you're 30.
Yeah, that's true.
So
well, probably depends.
Yeah, it does depend.
But I agree that the best probably time when you complete your training, well, we basically work all our life on our technique, but still, like 20s, I think it's the best time. And sometimes people starting too early, and then basically they do also very short careers. Yeah, that's true. And what do you like the most in teaching?
In teaching?
Yes. Oh, maybe you gain something for yourself, like this.
I have learned a lot teaching. So I didn't study pedagogy. So I went to, both of my degrees are performance degrees. So I have really had to learn a lot about how to teach. I do have a lot of young students like 7 to 10. So I've had to learn what to teach a young student. They're not going to know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about resonance. They're not going to know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about, you know, engaging with your support. But I can say things like, make sure you're standing up nice and straight. Like, we can talk about posture because they know what, you know, what this means versus like straight up means. We can talk about how you're going to breathe because, you know, the breath is something, you know, that's a natural thing. I do a lot of ear training, a lot of repetition, because I had forgot like that, you know, you don't know what this means. And it's not just like okay, that makes sense and we can move on kind of thing. So I have a lot of respect for people who studied the best practices to teach, because I think it really does make a difference. I've had to learn a lot to make sure that the kids are understanding, that they're really, that it stays with them. So it's not, you know, okay, we talked about solfege today and now it's just like out of here.
So you are a young artist who's at the beginning of pursuing your solo career. What difficulties are you experiencing these days as a performer, or regardless pandemic situation?
Yeah, I was like, well, there is a bit of a little situation going on. I don't know if anyone's dealt with it, but so yeah, the pandemic did kind of throw a wrench in the progress that I was making. I made the decision for myself. I love opera and I love musical theater, so I'm kind of open to either performance opportunity. So last year, 2 years ago, I guess now, I was auditioning a lot. So I was auditioning at all the local theaters. I was going to New York and doing auditions. And I didn't book any of the things that I actually sang for in New York. But what's really good about this business is if you sing for one person, you kind of sing for all their friends, whether they heard you or not. So I was supposed to go last summer to do my first, real young artist program with Charlottesville Opera. And I did not audition for them.
I have done that.
Yeah, I didn't audition for them. I auditioned for Virginia in Norfolk, and Simone Harcum sings with them in Virginia Opera now. And I was like, do you know these people? And she was like, oh yeah, the coaches for those two programs are like best buds. And maybe somebody dropped out or they couldn't find anybody. And they just offered me this position. So I was like, oh, okay, like, that's cool. So, you know, even if the audition itself doesn't get you exactly the gig, it's the audition, like just auditioning in general gets you seen by more people and opens a lot more opportunities. So I had that. And then I was understudying right in the middle of doing a kids show that I also got just called to do. So I had been doing theater in the area. They needed an understudy and they called me and they asked if I could come on. So I was building a little bit of momentum, building a little bit of, people are recognizing that they can call me for things and I'll be ready to go and I can jump on board whenever. But that's very specific to the pandemic. That's the hard thing for me right now is I felt like I was gaining a lot of momentum and I lost a little bit of it.
Everybody, basically.
But that's everybody.
Mm-hmm.
As far as young artist programs are concerned, the hardest thing for me is the time
Mm-hmm.
and the money.
Okay.
So if I do get an audition, I have to get up to New York. I have to figure out how I'm getting there. I have to stay overnight. I have to,
manage all this stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have to decide which programs I'm going to apply for and kind of choose as strategically as possible because they require money. So if I can't afford every application, I have to pick the ones that seem like the best fit for me and then still, having to spend the money. So I think that's for me, the hardest part about young artist programs is the application fees. And making pre-screening videos is also expensive. One good thing I think about the pandemic is everybody had to make videos, and since everybody had to make videos, I'm hopeful that the standard of the video that you need to send in for like a pre-screening will change. Mm-hmm. Because I have spent a good amount of money before on those pre-screening videos to have it not be a great singing day and I can't even use them. And then it's just kind of like, so I'm hopeful that now it's like, okay, I can do an iPhone video and a ring light and a microphone, mm-hmm. and it looks fine, and you can still hear how I sound, and the standard of the video it doesn't need to be like the most mm-hmm. amazing production quality. I'm not a sound engineer. I'm not a video engineer. I don't know really, really how to do those things. Just like enough.
But hopefully, actually, the system will change a little bit after, and we don't have to travel so much for auditions.
Yeah.
I think most of them can be done online. Even over Zoom, if you have good connection, you basically can show a lot, at least like the first part of the auditions. Yeah, and then, of course, if they would like to hear you more, they can invite you. Because I also traveled a lot for auditions, and it's very time and money consuming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, like as we know, we discussed also, we classically trained singers and the other musicians. We spent like at least 10-15 years just to gain solid vocal technique, know how to use our instrument.
Yeah.
Voice or any other, and besides the other disciplines that we are required to learn, to be a good artist. And after our universities, we are still continuing our education like non-stop. Constantly improving our technique and knowledge that takes all our time. And so after all of this, years of education and dedication and everyday training, we are often asked to perform for free, and actually from the institutions that have money. Why do you think it's okay for them to ask us for non-paid jobs, work, and what must be changed to improve this situation?
I mean, I don't think anything is okay about that. So, but that is, a pretty big problem with young artist programs or just larger institutions. Mm-hmm. It's the building gets paid, the administration gets paid, mm-hmm. but the artists don't get paid. Which is, to me, it's very odd. Like, nobody's coming here to see like Susan in HR. So like, why is Susan in HR making more than your young artist? Like, that doesn't make any sense. I think one of the problems and why they're able to do things like that, same thing with application fees, same thing with like sometimes like how much some coaches will charge you for things, or voice teachers will charge you for things.
It's very expensive.
It's extremely expensive, but they can do it because there are so many people who are interested in this career. And I think that's starting to be taken advantage of a bit. Mm-hmm. Pay to Sings is another example.
Enough basically job opportunities, because we have, in the States, we have just few theaters, I would say. If in Europe, every village has a theater. Here we don't. Or even if we have, the production cost is so high that basically like Washington Opera, National Opera, they do just few productions only because it's very costly.
Yeah. So it's, I think, a lack of jobs, mm-hmm. and then also just the people in charge taking advantage of the situation for their gain. I mean, there is no reason why, the administration of an artistic company who they're talking about the finances, they're talking about, I don't know, budgets, who knows what they do, I don't know, should be making more than the artists. The company, this institution would not be here without the artists. The artists are the people who are bringing in the money to pay your salary. Exactly. So the artists need to be, I believe the artists should be, if not equally compensated, probably they deserve more of it because they're bringing in the revenue.
Absolutely. But now, with the pandemic situation and closed, all the venues that are closed, there are no shows. All customer industry are suffering stuff like restaurants. Even people don't buy dresses. Nice outfits, to go to see a concert. Everything is really related.
It is. We were walking around the tidal basin and walked past the Kennedy Center just the other day. And all the restaurants in that surrounding area, the clothing stores, the parking lots, all of those businesses are propped up and benefit greatly from the performances that happen there. So it's, those places are really important to a community and important to an economy, I think, because people go and they spend money in that area and they go see their show and everybody kind of wins. So without, you don't have to buy a dress, you don't have to pay for parking, you don't have to get dinner beforehand, you don't have to, do all those things. Everybody's losing a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, well, let's come back to our concerts. You will perform this new sacred music this Sunday by contemporary composer Eli Tamar. Have you ever performed sacred music? And did you sing with the organ before?
Yes, I've done the Messiah a few times, but I think everybody's maybe done that. And then I currently have a church job located in Columbia, Maryland. It's a Christ Episcopal Church. They have one of the oldest working, like still used chapels in Howard County, which is kind of cool. And we perform every Sunday with only organ.
Cool.
But I've also done a Messiah, like a couple of like I Know My Redeemer Liveth, or like a Rejoice with organ. And then the other sacred music that I've done, but not with organ, is a lot of spirituals, African-American spirituals.
Is it related, do you think?
The spirituals?
Yeah.
No. The style's very different. So like this, a spiritual style and like Handel style are going to be very different. So it'll still be the same, classical hat on, but with different diction, things that are important, more embellishment that is kind of bluesy, I guess, is the best way to describe it. Because there is still embellishing in, oratorio music, but it's a little stricter. And you have to stay in the beats of things. But with spirituals, you really get to just kind of do whatever you want. You don't have to stay in rhythm. You don't have to sing what's on the page. You can kind of just really make it your own. So that's how they're a little bit different in that way.
So the trio you are going to perform this Sunday, the Lord's Prayer. It's in Russian. Is it your first time to sing in Russian, and was it difficult to learn it?
It's not the first time that I've sung in Russian, but it's been a few years since I have sung in Russian. In school, the required diction courses are German, French, Italian. You might take an English, but that's not as important because I already speak English. But I decided I did want to take a Russian diction course because it has, popularity seems like the wrong word, because there's a lot of music that I didn't even know about. But it's being done. And I didn't want to miss out on an opportunity because I've just had no familiarity with it. So thankfully you were willing to help just coach the language with me. And I'm really glad that I had taken that diction class, because some of it was still there, was a little bit familiar with the different vowel and consonant sounds. So it needed a little bit of attention, but
you did. Your diction is very good, I can say.
And when you said that, I was like, oh my goodness, thank goodness.
True, yeah.
Because it's like when you go to Italy and you sing in Italian in front of Italians, and people are like, she didn't roll her R right. And I just was, whenever you're singing or speaking the language in front of someone who actually speaks that language, I'm even more conscious about doing it correctly, or doing my best to do it correctly. Oddly enough, the hardest thing about learning that piece was the fact that I was singing soprano 2 and not soprano 1.
Yeah, you used to sing soprano 1.
I always sing soprano 1. I very rarely sing soprano 2. And so my ear just kind of, I was looking at, my notes on the page, and my ear is still just kind of taking me up with the soprano 1. So that was probably the hardest thing for me, just kind of really focusing on the notes that I actually had to sing, rather than letting what I'm used to in my ear kind of just noodle me along.
Did it affect vocalization, the language?
A little bit. Usually what I like to do, even with languages that I'm a little more comfortable with, so I'll do this for English as well. I will speak speak it like I'm a Shakespeare actor. And so I'll spend time like really over enunciating things to the point where it feels just like weird. And then I'll sing it on one note, not taking rhythm into account, nice and slowly, so I can feel my voice working, but also see how I may need to modify my vowels to make sure that it's correct, especially if there's any like diphthongs or triphthongs or things like that, figuring out exactly how I need to place them so that when I do go into the real tempo and do go into the correct rhythm, I'm already used to phonating correctly with the vowels and with the consonants. So that's what I did with this before I started really even singing the actual notes with the words. So I did the notes on like a neutral syllable and then worked on the words separately. And before I sung the words and the notes and the rhythms all together, I did it very slowly in that way to make sure that it wasn't like I had to, you know, think about so many things at once. So that made it a little easier when I actually put it all together.
Well, this is the right approach to do that.
Yeah. It makes it a lot easier, and then it just makes it so you don't have to think about so many things. I'm already comfortable with the notes. I'm comfortable with the language, so it's a little less to think about once you put it all together.
Yes, definitely. So we are wrapping up our conversation, and before we finish, please share with us your future plans, concerts, anything.
Okay. So next thing I have coming up is actually not music related at all. I am going to be in a play with Unexpected Stage Company in Columbia, Maryland. And those tickets are on sale. The show is in May. It's a staged reading by Denise Hart called Nothing to Lose. So that's my next performance thing aside from like church. And then I also in the pandemic started a Princess Party company, so that those are my little performances here and there, is with this Princess Party company called Black Princess Parties DMB. So I dress up as all the Disney princesses, from Ariel, Belle, Elsa, Tiana, all of the Disney princesses. So we really focus on the transcendent casting, being able to sing the Disney songs and perform as the character, and not focusing so much on skin tone, skin color as a part of it. So for kids who look like me, they get to see a princess who looks like me. For kids who don't, they get to see that, you know, skin color is irrelevant in the person that you are. The princess is the princess, you know, she's still doing all the stuff and they still have a really great time, no matter what. So it's my kind of, it's my business, but it's also like my little bit of activism, which I really enjoy. So those are my two things coming up, I guess.
I think it's a dream job for every girl.
I would be lying if I said I do not enjoy my ball gown twirls.
Well, thank you so much, Simone, and I wish you a lot of success in your artistic journey. And thank you everyone who joined our interview today. I remind you that you can see Simone performing new sacred organ music by contemporary composer Eli Tamar at our virtual concert this coming Sunday, April 25th at noon. And to attend the event, you must register on its website. The link is in the description under the video. Thank you so much to everyone, Simone, and I'll see you soon. And at the end, I would like to play a duet, Consonetta Solaria, that Simone performed with Maryland Lyric Opera. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.